Did you know that there's pyramids in the Grand Canyon? In fact, there's pyramids all over the world. There's pyramids in Antarctica, in Arizona, in California. But right now we're going to be talking about the ones in the Grand Canyon. So, it says underground Egyptian city hidden in the Grand Canyon. It says lost civilization in Grand Canyon was, Egyptian? So could these pyramids possibly be Egyptian? Because who else is making pyramids? It says in 1907, there were no man-made structures like the Lake Powell Dam. There was nothing stopping them but nature itself. What was printed in the Arizona Gazette newspaper on April 5th, 1909 is something that I found remarkably interesting. The Gazette news article went on to talk about a lost city that he discovered after passing the area of Lake Powell's modern-day dam. I am going to quote the Arizona Gazette newspaper and a couple of links where more information can be found. So, this is straight from the article itself, digitalized, and on the top right, it says Gazette, Monday evening, April 5th, 1909. And just reading the title quickly, it says Explorations in Grand Canyon. And then a bit beneath that, it says Jordan is enthused, which is the anthropologist. And it says remarkable finds indicate ancient people migrated from Orient. Let's see what that means. So, it says it all started in 1909 when purported Smithsonian Institution explorer G.E. Kincaid discovered strange caverns during an expedition directed by the Smithsonian anthropologist S.A. Jordan. The entrance to the cavern was nearly inaccessible, but Kincaid was able to get in to make an incredible discovery. The enormous caves, which radiated out from a center cavern like spokes on a wheel, were full of artifacts including statues, copper weapons, even granaries full of seeds. Its size indicated that 50,000 people could live inside comfortably. But even more amazingly, the artifacts didn't match up to anything in the known record. Rather than appearing to be of Native American origin, as one might expect, the objects had distinct Egyptian or Tibetan design. Could there actually have been an entire civilization of Egyptians living there? If so, how did they get there? So, they want to say, well, they thought it would have been Native American, but it isn't. So, I have to remind you guys that black people were on the face of this planet before everyone. And we weren't just in Africa, we were everywhere. We were in the Americas, we were in Europe, in Asia, in Australia. And at the end of this, I will show you pictures of modern day original peoples of the land. So, it says, the story caused a huge sensation when it broke in the Arizona Gazette in 1909, but was soon met with skepticism. The Smithsonian has no record of either the scientists nor their discoveries and firmly quells any claims that Egyptian artifacts have been found in either North or South America, and no one has been able to find these supposed massive caves since. Was this some elaborate hoax, maybe perpetrated by the Gazette to sell newspapers? And this is the Smithsonian denials. No records exist in the Smithsonian's Department of Anthropology about Professor Jordan or Kincaid. There is not even a paper trail that gives details about this expedition. About Kincaid's claims, a representative of the Smithsonian Institute said, well, the first thing I can tell you before we go any further is that no Egyptian artifacts of any kind have ever been found in North or South America. Therefore, I can tell you that the Smithsonian Institute has never been involved in any such excavation. So, a representative of the Smithsonian Institute is pretty much saying that no Egyptian artifacts have been found outside of Africa, in South America or North America. But as I said, that's a lie, because black people have been on the face of this earth, all over the earth, and there's plenty of artifacts that they discovered but they've hidden. So I'm gonna keep reading on and I'm gonna show y'all proof. And this is Mr. Kincaid's report, his actual report that is in the newspaper. So it says Mr. Kincaid was the first white child born in Idaho and has been an explorer and hunter all his life. 30 years having been in the service of the Smithsonian Institute, even briefly recounted his history sounds fabulous, almost grotesque. So that's just a little background on him. First, I would impress that the cavern is nearly inaccessible. The entrance is 1,486 feet down the sheer canyon wall. It is located on government land and no visitor will be allowed there under penalty of trespass. The scientists wish to work unmolested without fear of archaeological discoveries being interrupted by Kuro or relic hunters. So, coincidentally, where Kincaid said the entrances to his cave, it happens to be on private property. It happens to be on government land. why would the government land, all of a sudden, because when this came out, it wasn't private property, it wasn't government land, it was anyone could go there, it wasn't restricted. And then all of a sudden, like 10 years later, all of a sudden they put the dam there, and now no one's able to find this cave because coincidentally the dam happens to be in damn near the exact place that Mr. Kinkhead said was the opening. I wonder why. It says a trip there would be fruitless and the visitor would be sent on his way. The story of how I found the cavern has been related, but in a paragraph, so you're just going to say it quickly in a short paragraph. I was journeying down the Colorado River in a boat alone looking for mineral. Some 42 miles up the river from the El Torvo Crystal Canyon, I saw on the east wall stains in the cemetery formation about 2,000 feet above the riverbed. There was no trail to this point, but I finally reached it with great difficulty. Above a shelf that hid it from the river was the mouth of the cave. There are steps leading from this entrance some 30 yards to what was, at the time the cavern was uninhabited. The level of the river, when I saw the chisel marks on the wall inside the entrance, I became interested, securing my gun and went in. During that trip, I went back several hundred feet along the main passage till I came to the crypt in which I discovered the mummies. One of these I stood up and photographed by flashlight. I gathered a number of relics which I carried down the Colorado to Yuma, from whence I shipped them to Washington with details of the discovery. Following this, the exploration were undertaken. So, he pretty much saying that he's seen a mummy and he stood it up and he took a picture of it. What other civilization mummifies their dead ones? No one but black people. Black people, Africans, they do that. So, it says the passages. The main passageway is about 12 feet wide, narrowing to 9 feet toward the further end. About 57 feet from the entrance, the first side passages branch off to the left and right, along which on both sides are a number of rooms about the size of an ordinary living rooms of today. Though some are 30 by 40 feet square, these are entered by oval-shaped doors and are ventilated by round air spaces through the walls into the passages. The walls are about 3 feet 6 inches in thickness. So, can you imagine a wall that thick? 3 feet and 6 inches? This wasn't no primitive people that were living here, because, as a white man back then likes to portray it, black people and Africans were living on dirt and living in huts, and they needed aka the white savior to come save them. I want y'all to know it was nothing like that. Black people were far more advanced than modern day scientists and archaeologists and engineers. So continuing, it says the passages are chiseled or hewn as straight as could be laid out by an engineer. The ceilings of many of the rooms converge to a center. The side passages near the entrance run at a sharp angle from the main hall, but toward the rear they gradually reach a right angle in direction. And this is the shrine. He's saying he's seen a shrine. Over 100 feet from the entrance is the cross hall, several feet, 100 feet long, in which are found the idol or image of the people's god, sitting cross-legged with a lotus flower or lily in each hand. The cast of the face is oriental and the carvings of this cavern. The idol almost resembles Buddha. Though the scientists are not certain as to what religious worship it's represented, taking into consideration everything found this far, it is possible that this worship most resembles the ancient people of Tibet. So, he's saying he's seen a big statue, a big idol that is cross-legged, and who also is cross-legged? Buddha, and he has one arm down and then one arm straight. So it's saying that it resembles it and has oriental features. Right now, I'm pretty sure you guys are thinking oriental features and Buddha, what this got to do with black people? Like I said before, black people are all over the face of the earth, and very soon I'm going to show y'all pictures of the original Buddha, because the Buddha y'all see now isn't the original Buddha. And it says, surrounding this idol are smaller images, some very beautiful in form, others crooked neck and disoriented shapes, symbolical probably of good and evil. There are 2 large cactuses with protruding arms, one on each side of the dais on which the god squats. All this is carved out of hard rock resembling marble. If you know anything about marble, it's damn sure hard to break it up and shape it. So if thousands of years ago this ancient civilization was able to do it, like I said, they was far more advanced than we thought they were. And it says, in the opposite corner of this cross hall, we found tools of all the descriptions made of copper. These people undoubtedly knew the lost art of hardening this metal, which has been sought by chemicals for centuries without result. So modern day scientists are trying to figure out how to soften chemicals and harden them, and they don't even know how to figure it out, but these people were. On a bench running around the workroom was some charcoal and other material probably used in the process. There is also slag and stuff similar to mat, showing that these ancients smelted ores, but so far no trace of where or how this was done has been discovered, nor the origin of the ore. Among the other findings are vases or urns and cups of copper and gold, made very artistic in design. The pottery work includes enameled ware and glazed vessels. Another passageway leads to granaries such as are found in the Oriental temples. So, he's saying there were temples inside this cavern, and again, they were Oriental. They contain seeds of various kinds. One very large storehouse has not yet been entered, as it is 12 feet high and can be reached only from above. 2 copper hooks extend on the edge, which indicate that some sort of ladder was attached. These granaries are rounded, as the materials of which they are constructed, I think, is a very hard cement. A gray metal is also found in this cavern, which puzzles the scientists, for its identity has not been established. It resembles platinum. So, they found some type of metal, and they don't even know what it is to this day. They can't identify what makes it up. So there were all types of ancient metals and stones back then that we have no clue what they are now. And it says, strewn promiscuously over the floor everywhere are what people call cat's eyes, a yellow stone of no great value. Each one is engraved with the head of a Malaya type. And this is a crypt. The tomb or crypt in which the mummies were found is one of the largest of the chambers, the walls slanting back at an angle of about 35 degrees. On these are tiers of mummies, each one occupying a separate hewn shelf. At the head of each is a small bench on which is found copper cups and pieces of broken swords. Some of the mummies are covered with clay and all are wrapped in a bark fabric. The urns or cups on the lower tiers are crudes, while as the higher shelves are reached, the urns are finer in design. Showing the later stage of civilization, it is worthy of note that all the mummies examined so far have proved to be male, no children or females being buried here. This leads to the belief that this exterior selection was the warriors' barracks. Among the discoveries, no bones of animals have been found, no skins, no clothing, no bedding. Many of the rooms are bare but for water vessels. One room, about 40 by 700 feet, was probably the main dining hall, for cooking utensils are found here. What these people lived on is a problem, though it presumed that they came south in the winter and farmed in the valleys, going back north in the summer. Upwards of 50,000 people could have lived in the caverns comfortably. One theory is that the present Indian tribes found in Arizona are descendants of the serfs or slaves of the people which inhabit the tribes. So again, they're trying to say the Indian tribe of Arizona could possibly have lived here. But again, the modern day Indian tribes that you see are not the original Indians of this land. But it says, undoubtedly, a good many thousands of years before the Christian era, people lived here, which reached a high stage of civilization. The chronology of human history is full of gaps. Professor Jordan is much enthused over the discoveries and believes that the find will prove of incalculable value in the archaeological work. One thing I have not spoken of may be of interest. There is one chamber of the passageway to which is not ventilated, and when we approached it, a deadly snaky smell struck us. Our light will not penetrate the gloom, and until stronger ones are available, we will not know what the chamber contains. Some say snakes, but others boo-hoo this idea and think it may contain a deadly gas or chemical used by the ancients. So, there was this one room, one cavern, that was so dark not even their flashlights and their lanterns could strike it. So, that's gotta mean something if it was hella dark and they thought, could have been some ancient voodoo science that was a gas or a chemical, or it could have been some snakes guarding whatever treasures they beheld.